up, everybody? It's your boy Lionel Jinx. I am the creative director of the WWE 2K franchise, and with me once again...
Hey y'all, I am Christina DM Pham, art producer on WWE 2K22, and welcome to episode 2 of Ringside Report, brought to y'all by the teams at 2K and Visual Concepts.
Now, if you missed the first episode of the Ringside Report with that sweet gameplay, click the link below this video to check it out. But in the meantime, we're here to provide regular updates and deep dives into the many areas and features of WWE 2K22.
And of course, you'll hear from both Lionel and myself on a regular basis through the game's launch in March on game updates, DLC, patches, and more. And also, again, we're not doing this alone because we're bringing the homies from the dev team with us.
Bring them on.
All right, so in one of our previous announcements, we ever so briefly called out the new MyGM mode, where you take on the role of a WWE general manager to prove whether you have what it takes to run the most successful brand in sports entertainment. So please join me in welcoming 3 folks who were instrumental in making MyGM a reality. Design director Alan Flores, senior designer Chris Mecenas, and producer Brian Fritz. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, I have my MyGM outfit on today. I suited up for this
Very fancy,
conversation.
very fancy.
Nice. Like Stephanie McMahon.
So let's get right into it. We're gonna roll the footage. To start off, who are the GMs and what does selecting one versus another mean for the player experience?
So we let you choose a different starting point. You can choose your own GM, or you can choose a brand that you want to manage. So having those different combinations of things can affect the way that your game is going to play throughout. So you can play as Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, or a custom GM. You can play as Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or NXT UK. And it's really pretty interesting the way that those things combine, because each one of those choices is going to give you a very powerful power card that you can play throughout the course of the game. So like, for example, Adam Pearce will allow you to, he's got an instigator card. If you play that, then all of your rivalries will be increased by 1 level. Or if you play as Sonya Deville, you'll be able to boost the morale of your entire roster.
To me, the next part of the mode is my favorite part, is selecting the draft, right? So selecting your superstars, but I always find trouble like trying to, select a balanced roster, because I get, my eyes get big whenever I see like those big names on the board that's still available, and then I run out of money. So I know there's a lot that goes into booking a balanced roster. And so can you talk more about that process and help me become a better GM?
That's also my favorite part of the mode as well. Once you get into the draft, basically that's your first look at all the superstars. And what you're going to find is you're going to see a lot of different stats that are going to stand out to you. You're going to see things like their class, their alignment, their popularity, their stamina. But what's really important to look at kind of early on is what their class is. So like there's giants, cruisers, specialists. And what you're going to want to do is like draft a kind of variety of different superstars that kind of go well together. And we do a decent job at telling you like, oh, these are going to be good matchups to help you along the way. But obviously you can draft whoever you want, make your dream roster. And speaking of dream roster, players, they can upload their own custom draft pool that include created superstars too. So they're going to be able to go wild with that. When they create their custom superstars, it will generate a cost for them. And speaking of which, when you're drafting, something to also be very careful about is how much each person is it's going to cost when you draft them. You have a budget when you go into it, and if you spend all your money after the draft, you might not have money to sign free agents, enhancement talent, legends. There's a lot of things you can do with money, so you got to be very careful.
I'm exactly like Lionel. I go in, I draft all the available superstars I can, and I go in with $0 trying to set up this entire show, and I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Oh, no. If you have the budget, you can have awesome matches in Hell in a Cell or TLC, but that cost a little bit extra money to set up. So if you don't have the budget, then you're stuck running one-on-one normal matches or tag team matches with no awesome match types. With these show logistics, you can have that high school gym arena, or you can move up into like concert halls and even these giant arenas that can give you bonuses, not only just to your show ratings, but also if you achieve certain little goals assigned to those things.
We have a store where you can buy different power cards, where you can buy a lot of useful things. Like there's a health spa. So say I have a superstar that's feeling, maybe I put him in 5 Hell in a Cells in a row. So he's a little bit injured or something, like he's a little bit down. So they're like, all right, here's a health spa. You go there for a week and rest, and then you boost some of your stamina. Just take a little bit of a break. But we also have a system of commissioner goals where basically Triple H will show up, will say, I want you to not don't put Drew McIntyre in a match this week. And if you do that, then you can earn a power card from him. And some of those are very powerful things that will boost your ratings, boost your superstars. It's really a lot of fun stuff in there.
Yeah, see, I tend to be, the guy who just follows the rules, but I know, Alan, you always play like the villain type of GM.
Yeah, it's weird because, I don't really consider myself a bad guy when I'm doing it. My superstars react that way. So basically what I do is I will book them in the hardest matches I can to really boost my ratings all the time. And they'll complain. They'll come to me in the dramas, go like, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling injured. And then if I actually put them in another match, they become injured. Then they'll come to me like, what the heck are you doing? I'm injured. I knew this is going to happen. And then there's a tendency where they might want to leave. So I try and, use some of the stuff to boost their morale a bit, to get them to stay around, give them a little bit extra money so they can hang around and help fill out my brand still.
So I want to get into, once you actually build out your shows for the week, let's talk about some of the different variations of how you can view your show, because there's the option to simulate an entire show. You can play these matches, but then also one of my favorites is that you can spectate as, yeah, exactly what Lionel's doing. You can spectate. Let's call out that Spectate Mode is exclusive to MyGM. So Chris, I want you to talk about what this means for the player experience.
Obviously, you can play your matches. We really wanted to make sure you were able to do that. Another really cool thing is, and I know like maybe you thought that you wouldn't be seeing your GM anytime in the ring, but you're going to be able to use your GM and interfere in matches as well. Whether that's one of the ones you picked or one of your created ones, you finally get to see yourself in some action. But Christina, like you're mentioning, Spectate, you're going to be able to do a really good job at basically being in the production truck and acting as if you were running the show from that side. And it's really cool. It's something we haven't seen before. I don't believe so. You get to like change the cameras at will. And basically how you think you should run the show, you finally get the chance to run the show that way. Try as you might, I know you want to maybe cheese a 5-star rating out of there. I know, I'm assuming that's probably what you would do. But if you really want to get the highest ratings, you're going to have to really be good at your matchups, because it's the viewers that are going to give you your ratings at the end of the day.
Why you always got to pick on me, though? For real?
Yeah, I feel like Chris is saying Lionel isn't great at building these matchups. He's not going to get these 5-star ratings.
Chris is looking at my stats, and he's just seeing like, yeah, I never got out of the high school gym because I keep blowing my budget. Like I don't listen to, I listen to Triple H all the time. So, like I'm just a rule follower, I guess, man.
Brian, I do want you to go into what happens post-match.
Definitely. So regardless of whether you are playing, spectating, or simulating, after you are completing your match card, you go to a nice post-match breakdown screen, get a nice little match report that you can click on for all of your matches to show you like, well, when you went in this match, you can see that these styles didn't quite click, or it was, people were hoping to see maybe a higher popularity superstar in the main event, and we're surprised to see this superstar in there. So there's a lot of really cool things that can really help out for people like Lionel, who maybe just go in and do whatever the heck they want.
Here we go. Just gonna keep piling it on, huh? See how it is.
And then we get a nice breakdown screen that shows you exactly what you did that impacted your revenue, that impacted your viewership. And as Alan alluded to earlier, there's also some fun social media posts on the side when you get to these screens. I'll giving you hints, but also giving you a little bit of flavor going into your specific MyGM season. It's just cool having that kind of flavor, that kind of personality to MyGM that kind of grows as your season grows throughout the 15, 25, or 50-week season.
I'm glad you brought that up. But what can our fans come to expect when they actually play through a complete session?
Well, I mean, the goal of the mode is to win, basically. So you decide if you're going to play against an AI GM or you can play against another person. You can play local co-op. We've even figured out a way to do some remote play via Steam remote play type of thing. So you can play a little bit of online play that way. So basically, your goal is to win. So throughout the course of the week, you're going to put on weekly shows. You want to make those great, but you're building towards a pay-per-view every 5 weeks. So then there's real WWE pay-per-views. There's like Backlash and Extreme Rules, with ending up with your WrestleMania at the end. So on your courses you're going through there, you're trying to build up money, unlock new arenas, get new logistics, get better crew, all that type of stuff, make your show bigger and bigger, make more money, and then go into WrestleMania with a bunch of killer rivalries, put on your best show, and then just go in and destroy your opponent. That's the goal.
So you mean how I'm gonna destroy Chris the next time we play multiplayer? Because I mean, now that I got all the tips, I'm out of the high school gym, putting a smackdown on you, Chris. Done.
Yeah, I don't know if you got all the tips. Actually, speaking of like going through the season, and Alan mentioned this a little bit earlier. He mentioned the word dramas, and basically what dramas are is basically you as a GM get to interact with either the commissioner, which is Triple H, or your superstars, and they're going to be asking you for like promises or like rematches, or Triple H will be saying you're doing this kind of poorly. And those are ways of getting tips as well. Like Triple H will tell you what you should be doing better. So I really hope you're paying attention to those, Lionel, because you're going to probably need those along the way. I don't need those, but I do want to make sure that I'm keeping my superstars happy. That's something that you're going to have to also manage throughout the season, is your superstars' happiness and their morale.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I love that you guys have done was building in those tips that you talk about. Like even like when you talk about the draft, like that little hint at the bottom of like, hey, here's who we recommend you guys draft based on who you already drafted. And so like we hold your hand throughout the entire process, which to me, it makes it way less intimidating when jumping in to this brand new mode to our game.
People want to draft their top guys, the guys that they like, which is great, but it's like, well, maybe this person will match up a little bit better with that person, just so they understand it, as opposed to just going, I have these two top stars, what's going on? They're not getting the ratings that I want. It's like, well, you have two guys that are slowly plotting around each other and they're not putting on a good match, right? So that's what we're trying to help people put on the best matches possible.
That's one point when you're talking about putting on those matches and pairing people up properly. There at the very end, when it shows you the match breakdown, you'll get a certain amount of stars, obviously, but then there'll be comments like 1.5 stars, disappointing. And that hurts. That could have picked any word, disappointing. I'm like, oh man.
But Christina, does that hurt more than like the fans calling you out for having a terrible show? I get, man, that stuff, I get butthurt. I'm just like, oh,
yeah, definitely.
You didn't like my show.
I mean, it just compiles at that point. So it's.
There's nothing worse than being a SmackDown show and just seeing someone like, oh, Raw really did great this week. What happened, SmackDown?
Yeah. Y'all, we are just about out of time. So I got one final question. So you're pulling up MyGM for the first time. Which GM are you picking? What brand are you running? And who's your first draft pick? Let's start with Lionel, because there's been a lot of smack talk.
Okay. We smack talk. So I'm going to stick with SmackDown because I'm going to lay the SmackDown on Chris. And Alan, if you want to step in too, like I got it all for you guys. Brian, me and you are cool. I ain't got nothing for you, man. And for my GM, I am choosing Adam Pearce for obvious reasons. We have a lot of things in common. Shiny domes. But yeah, that's my top two right there.
Alan. No, wait, hold on. Chris, you've done the most smack talking today, so you're next.
No. I feel like it was back and forth. I think it was equal. Well, man, he took my show. I was going to go SmackDown, but I don't.
Because you was talking all that mess. I gotta go SmackDown.
You know what? I'm going to go NXT UK, and I'm going to beat his SmackDown easy. Because, you'll see what their power card is, and then you'll be scared. But for my GM, I'm going to go with Shane McMahon because we also have something in common. That's going to be a battle for the ages. Just don't worry.
I'm fired, man. I'm going to practice my people's eyebrow, man. I'm going to get that down and whip that candy ass.
All right, Alan, who you got?
I definitely have to go with Sonya Deville because she has her power card is basically she boosts the morale of the roster, which is very useful for me when I'm driving people to the ground, making them very upset. They come and complain to me like she's going to take care of them, make sure that it's all good. So they're going to hang out. They're going to be okay. then I would probably pick Raw because that allows you to basically mess with the other show and veto some of their superstars. But then once again, when I'm doing my draft, I like to draft in pairs to look at guys that match up really well. So I'd probably go with Walter and Rey Mysterio because you have a big guy and a little guy. They're going to put on a great match, and they're going to mix really well together. You got a good guy and a bad guy. It's going to work out well together.
That was a very thoughtful answer.
Yeah.
Very, very thoughtful.
Smack talk.
Brian, how about you?
Well, I'm going to go with probably the best GM you can pick, and that is me. I'm going to be the GM that I pick. Because like I said, we could have custom GMs. So I'm going to make my own character through creations. You can even download them through community creations. I'm going to create myself. I'm going to put myself as the GM. I'm going to be, and even as a created GM, you still get an awesome power card. So I'll get the ability to raise the popularity of my lowest popularity superstar by 20 right off the bat. So that's awesome. And that fits with what I want to do because I want to go to NXT where I get where I get a title match that gets a bonus to my ratings. And I'm gonna draft John Cena. I'm gonna put him with a bunch of maybe lower popularity up and coming superstars and have like a little David versus Goliath thing going on, maybe a little John Cena versus Dexter Lumis or something, for WrestleMania. I think we can make that happen. I think the fans want to see it.
Nice.
All right. I forgot who was my first pick. I'm picking some enhancement talent. A free agent. I'm gonna pick the Silence or whatever the mime is. That's my guy. I mean, he's gonna tear you up, Chris.
Well, I'm going Roman Reigns, so you can acknowledge that, okay?
It's just gonna be like this the whole time.
Right?
Shutting you up. So, Christina, right back at you. Who are you picking?
All right. Well, initially I was going to go Stephanie McMahon, but I have this really fresh MyGM suit on, so I'm going to go with Brian's answer.
That's right. That's right.
Create myself. I'm going to run Raw, and I'm going to pick the EST Bianca Belair.
What?
And then I'm going to go against Brian.
Ooh, there we go.
Oh.
You do the Bianca taunt, like twirling your hair.
She's gonna rock that ponytail.
All right, y'all. That is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to Alan, Brian, and Chris for joining us on today's
Not Chris.
episode.
That's great. Nice.
We're going to try this again. All right, y'all. That's it for our time today. Thank you to Chris, Alan, and Brian for joining us on today's episode about MyGM. And if you missed our kickoff episode about all things gameplay, click the link below to check it out.
Thank you all for tuning in. We will talk to you again soon. And in the meantime, check us out on social media, WWE Games. Peace.
Bye.
Yeah.